Come on, rise. Let's go higher, higher, higher. Rise with me, rise with me, Howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Okay, you broke the mic on that one. You hit a high note on this one to where your mic cut off in the middle of the hee.
No, sorry. So very sorry.
No,
Hey,
it's good. We just know you can hit those notes. That's a
thank
good
you.
thing.
I love to holler, and I tell you, I enjoy hollering, But you know what? Thank you for being on Rise with Lisette today, for tuning in. We got a great show for you. I'm telling you, a great show. But I would like to say Happy Veterans Day to all of you that have served. Thank you for your service. I really, really appreciate it. All of us do. All of you are very special. We thank you for your service. And you know what? Looks like we got us a new president. Hey,
Wait. Before you skip on to new president, do you know any veterans?
yes, my brother, my two brothers are veterans. I have two pastors that are veterans. Let's see. You a veteran too.
Oh, I was wondering I was wondering how far down the list you were gonna go
You are a
before you
veteran, so
got to
happy
me.
Veterans Day. I don't know if our guest is a veteran or not.
Yes, I am.
All right, he's a veteran too, so happy Veterans Day to all my wonderful veterans. And thank you for all that you do.
You
You
know
know
what's
what?
funny about veterans? This happens every year. Like on social media, people say Happy Veterans Day, but via text, I don't get many Happy Veterans Day texts, but I get loads of Happy Memorial Day, and I'm like, wait, so y'all missed the one for me, and you message me on the day where we're celebrating the ones who are no longer here. I mean, still
Ain't
here,
that
people.
something? That's sad. That's just so sad. We got to give honor where honor is due. And you
Oh
guys
man,
definitely, and girls definitely deserve the honor. I'm telling you. I thank you so very much. We got a great show for you today. I thank God for Keone and the production team. Thank you
oh,
so very much for all that you do. And I want you to go ahead on and talk to your friends. Go ahead on and tell your friends and tell Nene and Bebe and Ray Ray and Say Say and Day Day. Tell them all to tune in tonight because we got a great show coming for you. A great show coming for you. All right. We got the one and the only Edward Hardy from the RayMart Radio Show. All right. And you know what? He's here as the host. He's here. And so we're going to have a great time tonight. So don't forget to make sure you share the link and also do some live chatting. Tell your friends to get up there and ask some questions. Just don't sit there and be quiet. We want you to ask those questions and give your comments and be a part of the live today. All right, tonight. And
thank you.
yes, we're on in the evening. So I'm saying today, and I'll get my time zone all mixed up. But you know what? It's so good to be here. And so, like
Gloria says,
always,
Gloria
huh?
says, Gloria says, don't forget Naomi Martin.
Oh,
Okay.
and Naomi, that's my little niece. As a matter of fact, she jumps out of planes and stuff. That is so awesome. She's pretty. She's cool.
Okay.
Mhm.
Somebody's got to do it. I know I'm not doing it.
I'm not gonna do it either,
Uh,
but she's got the guts to do it, and I'm so very proud of her. And
before
then there's Marky. There's Marky. I have a nephew named Marky. He's pretty awesome. He's retired now, but he was in the army. And I got a lot of. There's so many people. They're gonna get me for not mentioning their name. So I apologize, you guys. I
okay.
can't think
That's
right
why
now.
you always end it and everyone else that I missed. I know you threw it in there. You said we got a new president, and I interrupted you because this isn't going to be a political show today for anybody who's trying to get away from that for a second. But I am uh, more willing for you to throw that out there with our guests in, so we can talk about that for a little bit. So I'd rather wait for him to come on because I could sit here and talk for 20 straight minutes about that. So I'm going to wait for our esteemed guests. Um, Speaking of that, should we wait any longer?
I don't think we should. I think
Oh,
we should.
we should. Let's just bring him right on in here. Please welcome Mr. Edward Hardy.
Wow, this is so
Thank,
exciting,
thank you.
Edward.
Thank you.
You're welcome to have you on the show. This is Edward Hardy from the RayMart Radio Show. I have the honor of being on his show not too long ago. And I'm telling you, I had the most fun, learned all kinds of things about wheels and stuff like that. I mean, he just awesome. I just and truly enjoyed his show. Plus, he has a cast part of his show as well. All those beautiful people that was a part of your cast. I really enjoyed them as well. And so Ray, please tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about your show.
Okay, first of all, I was born and raised in Kinston. I left right after high school and went in the military, did 15 years there. Then I went into the Postal Service uh, and did 15 there. And after I retired, I decided to come back to Kinston. And once I came back to Kinston, it was something I wanted to do. I just didn't know what it was. So one day I was riding back from Myrtle Beach and I was listening to uh, Steve Harvey. And I said, that's something I've always wanted to do. I wanted to have my own radio show. So I talked to people, and in this business, there's always some people that say, "No, that won't work." But I'm here to tell you that anything that you want to do and you work hard enough, you can do it. And I'm just pleased that we have started our second season on the Raymark Radio Show. And I have an amazing crew, and they just keep things going. They keep it excited. And I tell them always when we're sitting there, I say, I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know where it's going to end up, but I can tell you one thing. I know we're going to have fun getting there. So that's where we are today.
That's
You know,
good.
it's so funny that you said that, Edward, because it's hard out here on the YouTube. I started this almost 3 years ago, and I've had the same staff of three people. I need a staff of 20, but I have a staff of three because that's what's in my budget. And we just hit like our marks to actually make a profit, but we haven't been doing it for the profit for 3 years. We've been doing it because we just love doing it. But again, you don't know how long something's going to last when you start it. I thought this might be, I'll do it for a year and get sick of it, you know? And now I'm looking at bigger things like, oh, I want this to go on and on and on. So I totally get where you're coming from. Gloria, let us know if you were saying that Edward is your classmate or was your classmate. Gloria Martin, is that your classmate, Edward?
Yes, I didn't recognize it by the last name.
Uh huh.
Now I put two and two together. Yes, we're classmates. I'm glad to see. I see her name there now. So yes, I want to say hello.
Small world.
Yes, yes.
She's my sister-in-law.
I didn't know that until today.
Look at that. Look at
Today.
that.
Small
That's
world.
what.
Now,
That's
don't
what.
make Gloria guilty by association, Edward. Okay.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You have an amazing sister-in-law, and I want to say to the sister-in-law, you have an amazing sister-in-law
Yeah.
because
Oh,
I met her, and ever since the day I met her, we have been communicating back and forth, not as regular as we probably should have, but every morning I wake up, every morning I'm listening to an inspiration from the set, and that
oh,
gives
thank
me
you.
willpower to go out there and conquer whatever it is that I'm doing that day. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I enjoy doing it. Every morning I enjoy doing it. You know what? It was something that happened the other day. I saw this man on Instagram, Ray, and he said something like, he said, I would like to thank all the women out there and would like to encourage them and just let them know that, not to be discouraged about, the recent, election and everything like that. He said, I want to encourage y'all, to keep on going and keep on doing what you're doing and be strong. And I thought about it to myself. I said, now, you know, we have no other choice. We have to be strong.
Yes,
We got to be strong whether we want to or not. That's what I was thinking to myself. And I thank him for those encouraging words. But sometimes I believe that women don't have the choice to be strong. I mean, to be weak. But sometimes we want to be weak and say, "Well, I'm not going to raise these children. I'm not going to do this." But sometimes, and we looked at as holding up the family, with the family glue, with the strength behind the family, and all this stuff. All that is well and good, but sometimes we don't necessarily want that road, but yet we get the feedback behind stepping up to the plate. How do you feel about it?
I, I feel the same way. I feel that a lot of our black men, they feel intimidated by the strong black woman. Okay. And the reason I say that because these women are now more educated. Okay. They make more money. They are in have climbed the corporate ladder. And some of these men, they can't accept that. They are stuck back where they think a woman should be at home all day and just doing whatever they want them to do. That's just not happening now. And I think that was one of the problems in our recent election. The black males felt intimidated by a black woman being the ruler.
That's interesting. That
Um,
that is that's interesting. Yes.
I so I'm kind of split down the middle on this because I have different definitions. I'm a guy that lives by definition, and my grandfather is the one that made it that way. And what Edward says has some truth with it, but I call that still a man being in boyhood. You can be 32 and still be a boy. And my grandfather would say, when you're a man's biggest job is to evolve, just like everyone's job is. And if you can't handle not being in a relationship with someone who makes more money than you, then don't be in a relationship with someone who makes, more money than you. That's an insecurity thing that you have to do. And Denzel Washington put it best. It was in an interview when somebody asked him, "You've been married for so long and it's a successful loving marriage, is because have you learned the 50-50?" He goes, that what you just said makes no sense. It's never 50-50.
Never.
Sometimes it's 80-20 me. Sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
30 her. Sometimes it's 60-40 her. We have to learn when to do that balanced dance. I know that I made really good money when I was married, but I didn't control the bank account because I wasn't as skilled in handling the bank account as my wife was. So you got to learn these things and be able to accept these roles.
And you're right. And a lot of men can't not handle that. And because I guess it goes back to their culture that they grew up in, that
Mm-hmm.
that the husband or the man, he is above and he controls everything.
Yes.
We're no longer living those times
Really
because
don't.
right now the woman has a role and the man has a role. Even though he is the head of the house, he is still in a relationship where he has to understand that the wife has a lane and a role also. And they somehow they got outside of that. They're not thinking that way anymore. They don't think a woman should be ahead. They don't even think that a woman should be pastoring some churches.
Well,
But that's just the way they was raised. That's
I,
their culture.
I think two things here. One, Ken Stevenson says black men have no problem with women holding positions of power. The black culture is mainly a matriarchal society. So, one thing, we're talking two things here. One, I think that's just a male problem in general. We're speaking as black men because if you haven't noticed on the screen, we're black. All right.
Right.
It's a male problem too. But I also think the problem is, again, split because just like with every generation, it's more of the older generation who think that way and the younger ones aren't. And then I don't think it's what Ken is saying, but to caveat on what Ken's saying is cultural. When you have the younger black men accepting this and doing this and they're happy, that's the thing.
That's right.
They're happy, they get called betas or they're weak or they're losing their manhood. And then so now they get chastise, and that's where that disconnect comes. It's always a generational disconnect every cycle when we have these type of topics. I
Yeah,
mean,
Eh,
anybody agrees with that?
I agree with you. But regardless of what someone else perceives you as, if that works in your household, in your marriage or relationship,
Mhm.
let it work because they don't control it. They can say whatever they want to say, but you are the one with a happy marriage and a happy relationship. So let it work.
Mhm.
that's interesting because you know what? I can agree with that up to a point, Edward, but I wonder is that woman really, really happy? But then again, there's some women that like to be they like to be dominated and controlled. But at the same time, I'm not. Let me just say this: I'm not
No, no,
saying
you're
that
good.
to be for the man to be the head of the household means he's controlling. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that there's in some households, in some relationships, the woman is being dominated and doesn't want to be dominated, but just to keep the peace. Just to keep the peace. Now that's not how it is in my household. I thank God for my husband that he's supportive in what I do, and he doesn't we don't roll like that. And I thank God for that because that means a lot to me that he's very supportive. I just believe that I've seen it in my life. I've seen how women have been looked down upon. Nor do I want a man to be looked down upon at all. But I see that like for instance, you mentioned something about church, and I have seen it where even in my own family, I do have a family member that said, well, God didn't call. They might call women to teach, but not to preach. So if you don't think he called him to call the women to preach, you definitely don't think he called a woman to pastor. And I disagree because I'm not trying to go back and forth with this with people's religion and all and what they believe, but I know that there is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there either male nor female. For we all we all are we're part of the body of Christ. We're all one in Christ. And I know that Christ, he was very supportive of women and he was very respectful of women. So, for a man um to look down on a woman as if she's not able to lead when she is qualified, it's very insulting to women. Very.
Yes.
Well,
And,
I'm gonna let Edward respond because me and you gonna fight in a second. But I'm
okay.
gonna let Edward respond. Go
I
ahead.
I agree with you. Uh, just because she is qualified to lead, she has met all the qualifications. There's one negative against her. She's a woman. And I think that is one of the reasons that she didn't get to where we thought she was at.
Well, to comment on what Lisette was saying, well, it's two things I want to say. One is it's not that, and we're speaking in terms, but I don't want anybody to think we're talking about all men, all women, because when we talk, we sound like we're doing generalizations, and everybody should understand that's not what we're doing. It's a culturally taught thing on both aspects. It's not just that some men were taught that, some women were taught that that was their roles. I've
True.
seen women growing up where the mom would say, I know he's cheated on you 3 times, baby, but you got to make it work. You got to hold it together,
Now
make
that's
sure,
the truth.
I've seen that. And then what we're talking about again from a cultural perspective are these things that are ingrained with us. Just like it happens with women, it happens with minorities. You have two candidates for a job, same qualifications, but one gets picked because they look different than the other. And then everything you have in this society we have today, I call it the strikes. What strikes do you have against you? Are you a minority? Strike. Are you have an alternative lifestyle? Strike. Are you a female? Strike. So you just keep going down that ladder of how many strikes you can get. And some people strike out because of the way society is. Um, some people are not um, able to understand if a woman is their manager. They don't like that. I've seen men like that. Just like I've seen people that can't handle it if somebody what's considered a lower stature in life based on ethnicity um, or color is placed ahead of them. Some people they can't fathom why that's possible. So it's always been a problem. I think it gets better every generation, but it's still a problem. It's not perfect.
Right.
I
And
mean, go ahead.
you go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you go, Edward. You the guest.
Thank you. Uh, I I don't think it's always the males that have this problem. I
Mhm.
think there's some males like being in a position where they allow the woman to be more the head of the household because let's look at it. Sometimes these women are more educated, okay? And it's okay. I believe personally it's okay. Some roles in the household the wife can lead. Just like my household. The finances, my wife handles the finances. She don't make as much money as I do, but she handles the finances. And that's not because I think she's more educated. I probably think it's because she has more time to do that and she has invested in doing a lot of research as to where to put money, take money from. So we're not going to just say it's all males.
But you know what that relieves you of? What people didn't think about it back in the day? Stress.
Absolutely.
Stress. Every when I was married, every time we moved, who do you think was in charge of the moving?
The wife.
And it wasn't because I couldn't do it. I didn't want to deal with it. And I knew if things weren't done a certain way, now I got another stressor because me and her are gonna be arguing about it.
That's
So
right.
I'm like, hey, if you're in charge of the moving, you get things how you want it to be. I'm gonna be happy. If she happy, I'm happy.
Absolutely.
I don't care if you want to get different plates or change the color of the wall. I could care less as long as you're not miserable about it. So it's learning these things of do I really need to stress about this? Or can I can just let her handle it. Just like she doesn't want to be stressed about something. You know, she doesn't want to deal with the plumber.
That's
She
right.
doesn't want to deal when the sewage is backed up. That's when she's like, "All right, you're the head of the household. You go do that." So it's picking your battles, picking what you
Now,
want to
this
do.
is interesting.
Because when
That's a
you're
good thing to say. And then again, it's like, So we are qualified or in your minds to do this, but we're not
no,
qualified
that's
to
not
do
what we're
that.
saying. No, not exactly. Not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying
Bring
is
it
in
to
marriage,
me. Bring it.
yeah, what I'm saying in a marriage is any partnership, there are things you have strength at. Okay? Doesn't matter if you're man, woman, man married to man, woman, because men who are married to men and women who are married to women got to go through the same thing. What can I relinquish that I don't need to hold on to because you're better at it than me?
That's
Absolutely.
And
good.
not care that
Absolutely.
somebody else said, y'all got a new car? Oh, your wife was responsible for the whole process? I thought you was the man of the house. I'm happy with the selection. Why do you care? That's what
Exactly.
I'm saying. It's knowing that I don't have to be in charge
Of
of
everything.
everything, because you know the old joke. You want to be in charge, but as soon as there's a noise in the backyard, Clarence, go check it out,
I
right?
do it all the
Right?
time.
Right.
I do it all the time. I thought somebody said something about that it's not natural for women to be the leader, you
There's a
know.
no. That's he
Nope.
said to clear up Ken. He said there's expectations, but it's not natural for the woman to be the leader. And what he means by that is, again, what's natural? Things that have been inbred into our DNA, things that we have been taught. We brought up religion. I brought this up on the show a while ago, Edward.
Yeah.
We have the three big religions. You have Judaism, you have Christianity, and you have Muslims, right?
Right.
All these religions that used to be real religions that are now myths, the one thing that they had that these all don't is they had several women deities and several women in places of power that were recognized. And here, if you ask anything about most people about the Christian religion, name the women of influence. They can name two.
But there's been a
And
lot.
the
I
first one's
mean,
going to be Mary.
Deborah,
you know,
Hmm.
well, you're going to name a bunch.
she's a
You should
prophetess.
be able, but I'm saying the average person. You say name the important women in these three religions that I just mentioned, and they can barely get to five. you know
Hmm.
so it's the expectation that has been bred into us, and like we were mentioning earlier, and that's why it feels natural. And that's why what Edward, like Edward was bringing up, that's why some men, that when power is given to the woman, it doesn't feel right. It
Right.
doesn't feel natural.
Because of that
And
culture.
you go ahead,
Because of
Edward.
the culture. They was probably raised in a culture where the woman, again, is beneath the man. So then when she has that power, they don't feel natural to them. And there's such something they can't accept.
Mhm.
That's interesting because I agree with you guys because you said, Keanu, you were saying how that, whatever your wife is good at or whatever your spouse may be good at, then let them do it. I mean, it's no, for one thing, you got to remember there's no, uh, um, niche against you because your wife is good at something because you're supposed to be, the two supposed to be one. So therefore, if that's your other half, that's working it for you. I
Yeah.
mean, on your behalf. So you can't be looking like, well, gosh, she's trying to take over. No, idiot. She's your other half. Y'all supposed to be working this thing together. You won now.
But
But some men don't see that. Not all. Some men. Some men
Mhm.
yeah,
don't see it that way.
some men. And you have some women that think they're just good at everything.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? I'm
Yes.
not good at everything. I don't want to be good at everything. I just don't.
Well,
I thank God for my husband. He's good at some things. I said, you know what? Just
well,
kind of like
you
we say,
said some. That's like two things. Come on now, you better get Clarence a little
more
more. You
things.
say he good at rubbing my feet.
Oh
He know how
no.
to keep. He know how to find the remote.
No, he's very awesome. He's a very
Yeah,
good
I
man.
know.
You know what I like about my husband, that he's very patient with me, and he rose in peace. I mean, because you can, you know, he's very peaceful, and he calms me down.
Well, it takes a
He don't let
man.
nothing bother him.
It takes a man who's proud to be a man and to teach another man. And many men that I've known have said this, and this is the first time you've said this. My grandfather used to always say, "My wife walks beside me. She doesn't walk behind me. Why are you walking
Okay,
behind me? You walk beside me." You
beside
know,
me,
but
absolutely.
anytime the norm is challenged, this is what you're going to have.
Absolutely.
The norm is challenged. What was it when you all were little, Edward?
Yes.
If they came around and they saw you playing with your sisters and female cousins with them dolls, what's going to happen?
They're going to start talking about you. They start
Right.
seeing things.
Yeah. If they, like, my cousin used to play with the Easy Bake Oven. His dad used to get mad all the time. My cousin is a great chef now.
There you go.
It's not always meaning you're going to grow up and have an alternative lifestyle. You might just get good. You might get creative at something else. So
Absolutely.
it's always these scared things. And then also, Lisette, here we go with this. All of this still boils down to, even if you weren't culturally taught that way, because you can change, is how effective are you at communicating?
There we go.
Some women will not take the time to learn how their specific man needs to be communicated to. You can't communicate to a man how you communicated with every boyfriend beforehand.
There you
Those are
go.
different people. And my sister, she won't get embarrassed. But one thing that helped her out is, she'd always have these knockdown, drag out arguments. And I always say, well, when there's a problem, how do you present it? And she's like, what do you mean? I said, okay, next time you talk about something, I'm gonna just listen. As soon as you come in the house, sit down, she's already on 10. If you don't know how to engage a man in conversation about a conflict, he's gonna shut down. And that's when we get to not talking. And now you're mad because we won't talk.
That's
And then
so
you
good.
say, well, will you talk? And then what happens sometimes when we start to talk? Within 3 seconds of us talking, we get cut off.
That's true. I absolutely agree with that because you know what, you can't handle a conversation fussing. You know, because the more you fuss, you add flame to the fire. You have to step back and be calm and deal with it. In other words, if you can have the patience with your boss man or boss woman on your job, and you're not fussing at them, but yet you come home and want to fuss with your wife or your husband, something's wrong with that picture. The same patience and the same discipline that you have on your job because you don't want to get fired, you need to bring that on home and
Absolutely.
deal with your wife or your husband.
Okay. Also, when the husband comes home from work and the wife has something on her mind that she really wants to get off, first, I think you should allow him to sit down and relax for a moment because you don't know what type of day he had.
That's
Okay?
good.
All right? If he had a terrible day and you come at him as soon as he walk in the door, it's going to make things just that much harder. I think we practice on my show effective communication.
Mm.
That's where one talk and one listens. Okay?
Hmm.
If
That's true.
both is trying to talk, you're not going to get anywhere. If he's trying to explain something to her and she keeps cutting him off, he's not going to get whatever it is inside of him out. So you're not going to move forward. So that's why I'm a strong believer in effective communication.
Ooh, and what you said, Edward, also because if you haven't figured
That's
out right
good.
now, I'm a both ways type of guy. The same thing because I used to see that in articles a lot, and God, I love my grandfather. He used to always say the same thing you said, and he'd always caveat stuff. He said, "But you have to remember, if you're in that stereotypical relationship where the man's out working and you're home, whether it's home or with kids, you're at work, but what has she been going through all day? Especially if it's school's out and she's had the three kids all day and she's trying to maintain the house and all that. So when you come in the house, even if she's on that, hey, babe, just give me a second and then we can go ahead and talk. Because she may have had a rough day too. And that's why I think people
Communication.
miss. They just think about what they're going through in that moment
Right.
and do that. And the thing that helped me is I remember when I tell people when me and my wife were married for 7 years and we got in an argument one time, they're like, how the heck did that happen? And it was our first argument. I was when I was in the army. I came home. I sat on the couch. I was taking off my boots. I turned on ESPN. She comes out in the back in the evening gown. So obviously I forgot something, right?
Ah,
So she's like, "What are you doing?" In her Jamaican voice, because when she gets mad, that the accent kicks in, and
Yes.
I can't do the accent. But I'm like, I was just watching TV. She's like, I said, before we start, what did you tell me to do, and when did you tell me to do it? Monday morning when you were leaving for work. I said Monday morning when I was late for PT and I was running out here with half a shirt on and putting on my shoe. That's when you told me. And then she paused and it hit her. She's like, you weren't paying attention to me. You're right. I wasn't paying attention to you.
there
So
you go.
sometimes we can stop an argument if we just pause for a second. Be like, wait, what are we about to argue about
That's right.
and why?
This is good. And I see where Gloria said sometimes that women needs to be the leader of financial area in relationships, and the woman keeps things in order, and ensure bills are paid, and the woman was given to a man to be his helpmate.
Yeah, she
Yes,
might be seeing
But
it fine because there's a delay. Yeah.
yeah, do you really think that all women are that way? No. No. Some women cannot control the finances.
that's
We'll
true.
be broke.
They're gonna go shopping.
There you go. So that works sometimes for, I'm gonna say most women, but not all women. Okay.
Well, I think you said it better earlier. With me and you kind of said the same thing, where it's like, again, we're talking generic, but you have to. It's your relationship. You
Right.
have to know each other's strengths
There
And
you
and what
go.
each other's weaknesses is. Oh, and how about this idea? How about you help each other get better at your weaknesses?
That's true.
that's a very good idea.
I like that.
Yes. But the the one with the weakness has to
Mhm.
be able to accept the one that's trying to help them improve those weaknesses.
That's
True.
Okay.
good.
Because if they're not accepting it, then they're gonna always have those weaknesses.
And if they too wrapped up in pride, like you say, that they won't accept that help from a woman. Well, I'm supposed to be able to do this. What are you talking about? That's ugly. I mean, we got to work this thing together. I mean, um, we got to work it together. I think
Here's the
that
thing. There's people out there for everybody. That's the thing I was saying. If you're a man that needs to be control 100% of the aspect of the relationship, then find you the woman that likes to be subservient for 100% of the relationship. Stop finding people who aren't ideal for your situation and then trying to make it work. That's trying to shove that circle into that square hole in kindergarten. It ain't going to fit. And that's the problem with a lot of people. two. It's a problem on two folds. One, and you know, everybody don't get offended. Women are more likely to marry someone who makes them comfortable and can support them more than they fit their physical attributes needs. Not their
Absolutely.
physical in the bed, but their physical needs. Men, it's not always like that. It's not always like that with men. So you're an alpha male, quote unquote, but you want the hottie who's independent, and then you're mad because she keeps doing her own thing. Well, I mean,
And
Now that's interesting. I see what you're saying about that, but definitely, I'm married because of attraction. I was attracted to my husband.
mhm.
And yes, I knew that he was a strong man, and I can appreciate strong men. But at the same time, he was very humble. He was very kind to me. He was very polite and respectful. And I said, "Wow, this is different." He's strong. Because as a matter of fact, I went to this little marriage seminar, and so they was trying to tell the couples, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money in a gift to give to your partner. You could just, you know, um, you know, give something that's sentimental that they can cherish. So I went out and they dropped everybody off at the dollar store, Dollar Tree. They had to get one gift. I bought my husband some chocolate covered graham cookies, graham cracker cookies,
You know what?
because he was chocolate, but he had an inner, he's sweet on the outside, but he's got an inner strength inside that he was so good, so that's what I got him to represent him. Of course he got me this little praying, a little hourglass type of little thing that had little fuzzy stuff going around, that had some a little praying hands in there that represented me, because I'm kind of, high in my personality, and but joyous and everything. But that's, so in other words, that I was attracted to him that way. And I think that I think that women love the idea of having that strength. They love that too. So, like you say, it's all about what you desire within yourself. But I love the idea of having that strength. But at the same time, I can appreciate him being able to allow me to be good at the things that I'm good at, and back off. I do the same for him.
absolutely. And we have to do that sometimes because that shows, it, in my perspective, it shows a woman that she's appreciated. You trust what she's doing. You allow her to be her. Do your thing. Just do your thing. And I'm gonna sit over here and I'm gonna be quiet and I'm gonna let you do what you do. And then when she come and ask you, what do you think? You better agree. Trust me.
You know, in the title we talk about support. It's I talk to Lisette about it all the time. It's the Tyler Perry movie I hate with all of my soul. Not Fighting Temptation, but Temptation. I think it's called Temptation. Have
Fighting
you ever seen that
temptation.
movie,
Fighting temptation.
Temptation?
Fighting
No, not that
temptation.
one. It's Temptation.
Okay, yeah, I
Have you
know
ever
what
seen
you're
it?
saying.
That was the
Temptation.
one with the woman. Her and her boyfriend. They were born in like a small town, country town, and they moved to the big city.
Hmm.
Okay. He wants to be a pharmacist, which he became, and she has all
Hmm.
these hopes and dreams.
Right?
And every time she comes home to talk about her dreams, he always says, "Oh, let's talk about it later. Oh yeah, we can work on that." And then he'll do things like he forgot her birthday, so he comes out with a guitar and plays a song. She's like, "You did that last year." So every time she talked about her dreams, it was crushed. So of course, what happens when a woman's not happy in a relationship? Not saying it's only women, but that's what I'm talking about. Somebody comes
Yeah.
along that
And tell
tells her the things that she's wanting to hear
that's
about her dreams and all that. So long story short, she ends up having an affair. She gets HIV, and then at the end of the movie, everybody goes on their happy way. Everybody that affected her, and she looks 30 years older. And she's walking there like, "What you doing today?" "Oh, I'm just gonna go to church." And then she does this slow walk, like she looks like she's walking to her death. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is the moral of this movie? Don't support your wife. She might have an affair and then her life is ruined. I was like, what
I
is
don't.
this?
I really don't know, because I really believe that if his woman wanted to do it a certain way in the bed, he should have went on and done it.
Oh, I didn't even bring that part up, Edward. I don't know if you
He
saw the
should have went
movie.
on and done
Yeah,
that. I
I
mean,
don't even.
because believe it or not, men,
Wait,
sometimes want
wait,
women.
hold on, Lisette, because I don't know. I don't think Edward. You don't know what movie we're talking about, do you?
Yeah, I remember the movie. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
When she asked to do the other thing, he said, "We're doing it missionary, like the good Lord intended in the bed." And I know every woman in that movie theater was like, "Oh yeah, I'm out."
But I think they switched the roles somewhere in that movie also, didn't it?
I think they did.
Yes, when she came back after him, she
Mhm.
came back home and then she was a different person. And he was like, wait a minute, where did you learn all that?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But
Just
It was
that's
interesting.
that's because like we're saying, and I just that keyed on that because of the title of this episode called support, because support is so many different things. It's what you're talking about, financial, are you talking about physically, emotionally, and one of the things that's helping, especially the Black community and minorities today, is the ability to understand that counseling is okay and we can go and use it. If more and more people, because that used to be a scary thing, especially for us, because we always want to not seem weaker than we are, because that's just how we've been viewed by America for so long. And counseling is so important. Counseling is so important. You can't get all the answers from family. You can't get all the answers. I'm not saying you can't, because somebody's going to take this wrong. What I'm saying is you can't get all the answers from church. But if you're a person that believes in God, He put many, many people here to assist you. And if you combine
Mhm.
those three, family members and friends who have your best interest, church, if that's where you go, and if you need it, get counseling. You'd be amazed at how many things you can fix.
someone.
Now, I agree with you. You can't get it all in
Okay, oh,
church.
this is for Edward. So, because Ken,
Definitely.
we should have had Ken come on the show, Lisette,
You should have.
because Ken said, and again, this is not across the board. Women like for the man to lead and take control. Now, what do you say when you get that statement from men or women, Edward?
That's not necessarily true for all women or men. Okay.
It's an aphrodisiac.
Yes. Some women like that for the man to lead and take control. I wish I had a woman like that, but I don't. She likes for you to be the man. You don't have to always take control, okay?
Mhm,
Because like we said in earlier, some things she's better at than I am.
mhm.
So when you take control, that means you're in control of everything. Don't do that. I think we have to stay in our lanes, do what you do, and let me do what I do. Let's take this 70-30 and let's make it 100.
But
That's powerful.
that goes back to the thing of learning what each other can do. I remember my wife got somebody said something slick. Some guy said something slick to my wife one day, and somebody looked at me like, "You ain't gonna say nothing." I said, "Hold on a second," and she tore him from here to here. I said, "I ain't had to do nothing. I knew she had it."
This is good
Also,
because
Yes.
and I'm gonna shut up for a second, because I know I've been
okay, go
talking a
ahead.
lot. Also, men are smart. We do risk assessments. When I was younger and I'd be in the club and I heard my, girlfriend going off, and some dude I heard clapping back, and I'm walking back with the drinks, I'm like, oh my God, please be a little dude. Please be a little dude. And when I get there and he's small, I'm like, hey, who you talking to? Then I beef up. But when I get there and he's 6'8", 240 in muscle, I'm like, hey, I got it, babe. Calm down. Calm down. There's another way we can handle this. We do our risk assessment, but I've seen a lot of women get a lot of guys' ass kicked. Okay.
That's right.
This. Go ahead, Edward. Go ahead.
I was just agreeing with him. I just want to say that it's not always the men. It's not always the women.
Mhm.
It's both. And I say again, if you practice that effective communications, your weaknesses, he can build to help make you stronger, and vice versa. Okay, it's a two-way street. And I believe in a relationship, if the fire is still burning, there's a chance. Okay, get the counseling like you said, and just let's just support each other, and let's have a happy, healthy home and a marriage. That's my assessment of it.
That is so true. True. Because if you have an alpha woman, you know, and you notice she's a strong woman in the sense that she is a leader. There's some women that just lead. There's some women that are not leaders. There's some men that are not leaders. I don't care what you try to make him a leader. They're not. They're a man, but they're not a leader. So if there are leaders, either man or woman, if they're leaders, then let them be. Let them lead. Let them lead because that's a gift to be able to lead. Everybody can't lead. You got some mean, hateful people. They're gonna run people away. They're gonna destroy your business because they look nasty,
Well, there's a double
nasty.
standard with that, Lisette. There's this double standard with that. Um, as a former military person and being a leader, as a manager of many different organizations, it's perfectly fine for me to get on somebody and be hard. But when you're a woman, you got to toe that fine line because if you're too strong, you're the B
That's
word.
that's true.
You have an
But see,
attitude.
that's the mentality of foolishness. And I mean, even a man can talk down to you. I mean, I was at
Yeah, they can. But what I'm saying is, you do understand there's a double standard with that.
yeah, that there is, but I mean,
Now, how do we, as Mr. Hardy, what's a way we can fix that?
In my opinion, goes back to let's have some effective communication. Let's talk about it. Let's see if we can come up with some common grounds. You tell me what you like. I tell you what I like. You tell me what you dislike, and vice versa. And we're going to work it out together. And I think that's the perfect way to start. I'm not going to say that it will work for everybody, but I think that's a starting point.
Mr. Hardy, you don't know how happy you just made me. You don't know how happy you just. Remember, I told you me and my wife was married for 7 years and we had one argument?
Yes.
People, how is that possible? And I always tell them this: I know what she didn't like, and she knows what I don't like, and we both tried not to do the things that we didn't like.
Absolutely. That works. It really works.
so it will. It will work. Absolutely.
If you know your wife gets overly agitated, if she's got an OCD with time, she gets overly agitated when you're late, don't be late. If you ever did this, you tell people to pick you up from the airport and you say, pick me up, I land at 2 p.m. And then you land at 2 p.m. and you text them, I just landed, and they say on the way. What? When you tell me you landed at 2 p.m., I'm in the cell phone parking lot at 1:50.
Right.
You know how it is to get off that plane, get your luggage, to be sitting out there for 30 minutes.
You want to go.
But if you know that's something that's gonna make her go from 0 to 10 or make him go from 0 to 10, then why do it? Be early. It's some of these things. I know it's not that easy, but some of these things are so simple. Because if you think about it in the big scope of things in marriage, and the reason why I said we didn't argue much is because probably I would say 7 out of 10 arguments you get in your marriage, 7 of them are so avoidable. They're so avoidable, and it's so small, and it just gets blown up.
A lot of times blown out of proportion.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and it's not, a lot of times it's something that's not even worth arguing about.
That's true.
And that's why I try to practice. Don't always work, but I try to practice it. If it's not art, just not that important. Let's don't even go there because I know what she likes and I know what she dislikes. I know what she don't want to talk about. And if you say the words, some words just make her go off. Like the word credit card. If you say that, there's going to be a problem. So I that's one word I try not to use in our conversations because
Mhm.
if you say the word credit cards, that means you out spending and buying things, and that just makes her go off. So I don't do that, and I'm pretty sure if she was here, she could probably tell you some words that she probably don't want to use. So I think that's that effective communication again, and that's knowing your spouse. And I think a lot of times, if the guys out there listening right now,
Mhm.
I just want to say, if you take the time, just take the time, let her express herself, and you do the same, and come to some common grounds. And I think that would help your relationship a lot.
Well,
I'm
I got to play devil's advocate.
I'm learning, so
Yeah.
it don't always work.
I got to play devil's advocate because what
Go
happens is
ahead.
when you get guys like you that are talking this way, in a lot of men's head, they hear, "Oh, he's siding with the woman. He's siding with the woman. He's siding with the woman." Because, oh, excuse me. Here's the thing: we're talking about effective communication, right?
Right.
Exactly.
How to communicate, and a guy will ask you, "How come every time a woman says that we have to fix us, we talking about me?" Because she's on this pedestal that she's already fixed, and I'm the one who needs the fixing. That's what a lot of guys will say. And a good example of that is Denzel Washington did an interview, and the guy asked him, "You played a lot of characters over your years. You used to be a heartthrob, and what's the character that women loved the most?" And he said Lorenzo from Training Day. And they're like, "What? That's the only time you've played a bad guy." He said, "Yeah, but you know why they tell me? Because they think they can fix him."
This is good
That's the
because
start of a problem. Stop dating people that ain't where you want them to be. You want to fix them.
Right.
you can't fix him. You can't even fix yourself, Harley. So you women, you can't fix the man. I'll marry him, then I'll fix him. No, you're not gonna fix him. You got to get into the communication like they're just talking about. We're talking about the communication is the key. And just because you've been trained one way in your rearings, don't mean she was trained that same way or he was trained that same way. So you can't fix nobody, but you got to communicate. There's some things it's like common ground.
Yeah, because a
And
man's never going to do that. Let's say a man never is going to date or marry a woman that he thinks he needs to fix. We marry and date women that are like what we want.
Right.
You're never going to hear that from us. "Oh, I married her because I was going to fix her to fit what I need."
no, mm-mm, no,
No, it's
you
never going to
can't
happen.
do that. You can't fix no one. You either accept what they are, or maybe they're willing to work on something themselves. They're willing to just like I think Edward said something. Are they willing? Are
Mhm.
they willing to change? But if they're not, you're not gonna. You can't be under the assumption that you're gonna change anybody. It's just not gonna happen. You know. Hey, we appreciate all your
Changing and evolving
chat.
is
Appreciate y'all.
it's yeah, changing and evolving is two different things. My grandfather used to, God, I'm quoting him so much today. If he was alive, he'd be smiling. He always said there's only one main reason a woman leaves you, because she thinks she can do better.
Yes. She has 75% at home, and she'll leave you to go and find the other 5%.
Ooh, he said it. Even he look. And that's not, I mean, that's the thing. So that's why it's hypocritical or irony or whatever you want to say, however it's called. If you're trying to find someone you need to fix, it's not gonna be a lasting relationship, because you're gonna find someone better who's
Exactly.
trying to fix what you just got.
That's right.
Exactly.
We don't buy a junkie, well, unless you're into cars, you don't purposely go try to buy a car that you have to fix all the time.
That's right.
That's not the goal when you go get a car. You want a car that can work and it's reliable and that fits your needs. So we put more thought into buying clothing, cars, and ordering food than we do sometimes in our significant other.
That's right.
True. And it's very, very important. Like the song said, sometimes it's hard to be a woman, giving all your love to just one man, stand by your name. All this,
And
that,
sometimes the song says, if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife. Okay.
and other.
True. Okay.
God. But I'm
Y'all remember
saying,
that song? Do y'all remember that song?
yes,
I know y'all a little
yes,
older than me. I
Yes.
love the
Yes.
part where he starts talking. He goes, "Hey, Chuck, hey, Larry, your wife sure is ugly. Yeah, but she can cook."
oh Lord.
Like, oh my
Oh,
God.
Lord.
Yeah. She can cook. Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, we're silly. But no,
We
honestly.
as we, this is good. We as women, we want support. Not saying all men are not giving support, but in a
Yeah,
broad
but you gotta
statement.
specify
We want that
your
support like we
support.
give it.
No,
Like
no,
we
no,
give.
no, no, no. So that's your problem. You're not going to get your support like you give it because it's two different types of support.
And I never.
So you've got to be specific, and we always have to be specific on what we mean by support because it's such a generic term. Are you talking about your woman who needs to be supported financially? Are you talking about a woman that, and then you got to rank them because there are rankings of this. So if you rank your support rankings, financial, emotional, security, whatever, however you want to rank them, and then you need to develop what's your ranking system for support.
I
Which
can
support
understand
is
that.
most important to you? Because if you marry a person who's middle to lower income and financial support is your number one goal, you may not be happy.
That's true.
But if emotional and security, because there's a lot of great men who have different levels of jobs can do that, then you may be happy. The key to this is the H word, happy. Are you?
Exactly.
Got to be happy.
Yeah.
You got to be happy, but I'm talking about as far as um endeavors. That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
What I'm talking about anyway.
Well,
As far as
I
your
agree with you with that. Let's say because already I have seen a lot of women where you will stick by, like you'll have women that grow up and they have dreams and aspirations and careers they want to do, right? But they either don't go to college or they go to college and as soon as they graduate, they stop because they start a family, they support their man while he's making his career decisions and getting to the heights of what he wants to do with his career. And now they're 10, sometimes 15 years down the road and they never started the career that they wanted. So I can see that as, and now it's my turn. The kids are out of the house. Now I want to do something, and you're not giving me the same support that I gave you while I pushed my dreams to the side for 18 to 20 years. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
If it makes sense to him, I'm doing good. You know what we're
expound
going to
on
get
that,
before we
Ray.
get off the show? So I want you to think about it, Edward. We're going to think about it before we get off the show. I want Mr. Hardy's hints to a successful relationship, and you're just going to run down five of them before we get off the show. Mr. Hardy's hints
Uh,
to a healthy relationship. Oh, he might have them now.
oh, so, my number one
Hmm.
is communication.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, number two, date night. I think it's very
Ooh.
important to do the things that you did to get her so you can keep her. Number three, uh, don't ever forget her birthday. Okay. And number four, keep other people out of your relationship. Okay.
That's
What
good.
happens in your house stays in your house. Okay. And number five, if the fire is still burning, keep it going.
I
Keep, keep it going.
no,
Okay. Before we
That's
go,
good.
that
yeah,
makes
that's it.
perfect sense. That makes
And
perfect
that's
sense.
what we practice. And before we go, I'd like to send a shout out to my crew, which I know that's somewhere listening in right now. Chiquita, Teresa, Beth, Mr. John, and Big Bougie. Uh, I want to say thank you for keeping us alive and keeping us with our 1.5 thousand viewers.
I wanted to make sure I got his logo a little bigger for people to see. So, Ray, if people wanted to, that watch our show, want to listen in on your show,
Yeah.
when is it? How do we find you?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me at NC 96 Radio every Tuesday. We air every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. So,
Great.
so tomorrow night, we will be right there in the studio doing our thing. And Lisette, we want you to know that we're always there. Anytime you want to stop in, feel free. You know you got a home.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Ray. Thank you so much for coming. We
don't tell
really
her that. She might accidentally bring her producer with her one day.
And that'll be perfectly fine.
we really appreciate you and all your cast and your crew. You know, you're pretty awesome. Thank you for stopping by and giving those encouraging words.
Anytime.
And thank you, Keone. And just remember, just remember that God loves you and remember that We got to support one another. All right, let's support each other. We
Let's
need
spread
that.
some love. Spreading love.
Spread that love.
And for
Thank you
all
to
of you,
everyone that tuned in too in the chat. Gloria and Gail and all you, Ken and Clarence, everybody in the chat. We really appreciate that. All right.
All right.
all right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.